Welcome to the Explainer. Okay, today we're looking at what is honestly an absolute watershed moment in artificial intelligence. On June 9th, 2026, Anthropic dropped an unprecedented pair of new AI models, Claude Fable 5 and Claude Mythos 5. We're talking about state-of-the-art performance across the board, coding, knowledge work, and incredibly long autonomous scientific research. But with that mind-blowing raw power comes some very real risks, which means we also need robust safety nets. Today, we're going to explore both the power and the protection. Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for today's Explainer. 1. A new era of Claude. 2. Video overview, Fable autonomy. 3. Science and engineering breakthroughs. 4. Fable versus Mythos models. 5. The new safety classifiers. And 6. Access, pricing, and future. Starting right off with Section 1, a new era of Claude introducing Fable 5 and Mythos 5. So this launch, it literally represents the biggest leap in capability Anthropic has ever made generally available. But, before we look at what these models can actually do, we gotta understand where they sit in the ecosystem. Fable 5 and Mythos 5 belong to what Anthropic is calling Mythos-class models. This is a totally new tier sitting right above their previous flagship, the Opus class. And the defining characteristic here isn't just that they're a bit smarter, it's a fundamental leap in autonomous performance. These models are built to stay focused across millions of tokens. They're executing complex, multi-step tasks over super long horizons, without needing us to constantly hold their hand. Moving to Section 2, Video Overview, Fable Autonomy, Translating Vision into Action. Anthropic dropped some absolutely jaw-dropping video demonstrations alongside their paper, which really show off what this autonomy looks like in practice. Let's look at the first one. Fable 5 played the video game Pokemon Fire Red from start to finish. Now, AI playing games isn't new, right? But look at the screen. It did this using only raw game screenshots. Previous Claude models needed complex helper harnesses, extra game state info, navigation aids, just to function in this environment. Fable 5 beat the entire game with a minimal vision-only setup. No maps, just pure visual processing translating into sustained, long-term strategic action. It is a massive leap forward in how AI processes and acts on visual data. And man, it doesn't stop with turn-based games either. The next video demo showed Fable 5 playing Factorio. Now, if you know Factorio, you know it's a game beloved by engineers because it requires incredibly complex, multi-layered logistical planning and resource management. Fable 5 autonomously strategizes and builds an automated factory entirely on its own. It's basically taking high-level goals, breaking them down into precise engineering steps, and then executing them in real time inside a dynamic simulation. Wild stuff. Okay, prepare for a bit of an inception moment here. In another video, Fable 5 designs a complete 3D printable model using a browser-based CAD editor. Impressive on its own, for sure. But the real kicker? That CAD editor itself, including the built-in AI copilot that actively does the modeling, was also created by Fable 5. Seriously? It built the tool, and then it used the tool to execute the complex design task. This level of meta-autonomy, creating your own software environment just to solve a downstream problem, is honestly staggering. To wrap up this video overview, let's look at this crazy blend of physics and art. Fable 5 coded a visual fluid simulation completely from scratch, but it didn't just animate fluids. It actually synchronized the motion of those fluids to the beat of a classical EDM remix. The truly wild part, though, Claude produced that music track purely using code, having literally never heard music before. It just derived the mathematical structure of rhythm and melody, generated the audio, and perfectly synced a physics simulation to it. It really highlights how these models are cross-pollinating deep technical reasoning with creative generation. All right, Section 3, Science and Engineering Breakthroughs and their real-world enterprise impact. Now, what's really interesting is how this exact same autonomy from the video games translates directly to the boardroom and the laboratory. Look at this quote from Stripe during their early testing. They threw Fable 5 at a 50 million line Ruby codebase. The model performed a massive codebase-wide migration in just a single day. Anthropic actually notes this exact task would normally have taken an entire human engineering team over 2 months by hand. We are talking about compressing months of senior-level engineering effort into literally just hours. And it isn't just writing code. Check out this feedback from Hebbia's AI research lead. They evaluate models on really complex, long-running analytical tasks. While Fable 5 is the first model ever to break 90% on their core analytics benchmark. That is a massive 10-point jump over Opus. But the key takeaway here isn't just the raw score, it's the specific praise for its strong judgment and attention to nuance. Fable 5 is executing senior-level financial reasoning and document-based problem-solving at just an unprecedented tier. Section 4. Fable versus Mythos models and the dual-release strategy. Because, when you have an AI this capable, one that can autonomously migrate massive code bases and build software tools from scratch, you have a profound dual-use problem. So the crucial point is how Anthropic is managing this risk through a bifurcated release. On the left, we've got Claude Fable 5. This is the model made safe for general public use. It has strict fallback safeguards actively running to prevent misuse. Now on the right, we have Claude Mythos 5. Under the hood, this is the exact same base model as Fable 5, but the cyber and biological safeguards have been completely lifted. Access to Mythos 5 is strictly restricted to vetted cyber defenders and government partners through an initiative called Project Glasswing, and soon to select biology researchers. Next up, Section 5, the new safety classifiers for robust protection. So how exactly does Anthropic keep the generally available Fable 5 models safe from malicious misuse? Well, they've engineered a really elegant three-step safety net. Step 1. They use separate, specialized AI systems called classifiers to detect potential misuse or jailbreak attempts. Step 2. If a threat is detected, these classifiers physically prevent Fable 5 from responding to the dangerous query. But Step 3 is where it gets super smart. Instead of just giving you a frustrating error message or a flat refusal, the system safely falls back to Claude Opus 4.8 to handle the response. So you're still getting an answer from a highly capable model, just not the one with frontier-level agentic hacking skills. It's a massive win for user experience while perfectly maintaining security. Now, you might be wondering, how often does this fallback actually happen? The answer is less than 5% of the time. Because Anthropic tuned these safeguards conservatively to get the model out quickly, they do occasionally catch harmless requests. But more than 95% of the time, users are getting the full, unrestricted power of Fable 5 with zero fallback. These safety classifiers are laser-focused on three main target areas to prevent bad actors from getting what Anthropic calls uplift. First up, cybersecurity. This blocks exploit development and agentic hacking workflows. Second, biology and chemistry, preventing the model from assisting in dangerous tasks like designing viral shells. And third, distillation. This stops large-scale automated attempts by foreign actors to just clone Fable 5's capabilities to train competing models. Finally, Section 6, access, pricing, and future, harnessing the power. So how do you actually get your hands on this technology today? The pricing is remarkably aggressive. Both Fable 5 and Mythos 5 cost just $10 per million input tokens and $50 per million output tokens. To put that into perspective, that is less than half the price of the previous Claude Mythos preview model. They are making frontier intelligence cheaper and way more accessible. However, for enterprise users out there, there's an important new policy to note. Anthropic is implementing a mandatory 30-day data retention policy for all traffic on Mythos-class models. Now, they are very clear about this. This data is never used for training new Claude models, and there are strict privacy protections in place. The retention is purely a security measure. It basically allows their teams to defend against complex multi-turn jailbreaks and attacks that unfold over long periods of time, and it helps them reduce those false positive safety triggers. Which really leaves us with this final thought. We've seen Fable 5 autonomously design systems, migrate massive code bases, and act like a senior research scientist. As AI capabilities cross the threshold from helpful tools to autonomous scientific agents, how do we balance the profound good for the world against the risks of unprecedented uplift? It is absolutely the defining question of this new Mythos era. Thank you so much for joining me to learn about these incredible new models today. I'll catch you on the next explainer.